need caffeine.
Want me to go buy you some coffee?
Yeah. It's daylight savings today, and neither of us have slept all night, so this is
I slept all morning. I just didn't go to sleep until I had this grand idea that because it was already so late when I was going to bed, so then I thought I might as well just stay up, and then I'll go to church at 7 because that's when the earliest mass is. And since I hadn't gone to bed yet and it was like 5 a.m., then I was like, well, if I go to bed now, then I'm not going to wake up in time for church in the morning. And I like going in the morning better than at night because they have the choir, not the band. No offense to the band. But anyways, so I had this grand idea to stay up all night, but then at like 6:30, then I got too tired, so then I didn't. And now I still haven't gone to church.
I was sleeping soundly. I went to bed at like 2 before daylight savings, so like 3, so it was still really late. And then like 2 hours later, all of a sudden a shower went on because Ashley was still awake and woke me up, and I didn't go back to sleep. So.
Well, that's her fault that she can't sleep through the shower. It's not that loud.
Hi everyone, it's Aspen, the better half of the Summers twins.
And Ashley, the bestest half of the Summers twins.
Bestest is not a word.
I know, but I felt like saying it.
It is almost St. Patrick's Day, so we are doing a special episode about luck because St. Patrick's Day is all about luck.
Really?
Yeah, and we sometimes have very stupid luck that we call summer's luck because just really dumb things happen to us. It seems like there's some sort of weird thing in the universe that causes us to have this strange luck. Now, don't get us wrong. We know in the grand scheme of life we're really lucky, and we feel like overall we're very lucky in terms of like we have a really great family and all of our basic necessities are covered, and we're really lucky to get to have an education and get to do all the things that we love to do. But it's like the stupid things that we have really bad luck about. And so this isn't like us complaining, it's just us sharing the dumb luck that we have. By the way, you know what, speaking of St. Patrick's Day, you know what I learned yesterday?
What?
St. Patrick's Day is like originally a religious holiday, you know, because like St. Patrick. So
I did know that.
In the olden days, it was like a dry holiday, so all the pubs and stuff in Ireland were closed because it was a religious holiday.
Really?
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Because now St. Patrick's Day is like the get drunk holiday.
I know, that's why it's so interesting.
You know, we should just do this episode on things that are green instead of on luck.
Okay.
Okay, like Kermit the Frog, mint chocolate chip ice cream. What else?
Well, if we're going to talk about ice cream, I feel like that's a good way to start off our luck episode.
Yeah, because we have bad luck concerning ice cream.
Like, the universe doesn't want us to eat ice cream.
Especially in California. There's like a vendetta against ice cream.
Which is really sad because ice cream is literally our favorite thing in the world, besides each other. Right? Or do you like ice cream more than me?
Depends on the flavor and the day. How nice you're being to me.
So, when we first decided on USC and I was doing all my college research, I read that there were soft serve ice cream machines in the dining halls at USC, and they're like buffet style, so you can have unlimited soft serve ice cream. And at the time, freshmen were supposed to have an unlimited meal plan, which meant they could swipe into the dining hall as many times as they wanted.
Which means you could get ice cream all day, every day.
Like, you could just stop by between classes and get ice cream. And I really can't overstate our affection for ice cream. Actually, no, I have to clarify. This wasn't ice cream. It was soft serve frozen yogurt, which, like, ice cream is fine. I really like mint chocolate chip ice cream, and there's certain kinds of ice cream that I like, but frozen yogurt is the most amazing thing in the entire world. If you've ever watched The Good Place and they're like, it's so much like humans to take something really good and then make it a little bit worse so that it's better for you, and they're talking about frozen yogurt, I highly disagree. I think frozen yogurt tastes 5 million times better than ice cream. But I digress. So I was so excited about this ice cream thing. I was like, it's going to be like you're on a Disney cruise, because if you've ever been on a Disney cruise, they have this soft serve ice cream station on the pool deck, and you can just get unlimited soft serve, and that was like the coolest thing ever. So I was just ecstatic about this whole ice cream thing. But then, of course, COVID happened, so we didn't get to go to college, and so we didn't get the freshman unlimited swipes thing, so we didn't get the ice cream. But then we were living on campus our sophomore year when we got to USC, and we were like, yay, we get to have the ice cream, because you had to pay this stupid dining fee where you got like 40 swipes into the dining hall that came out to like $20 a swipe, which was ridiculous.
Not really, it was like $13.
I think it was like 16, but it doesn't actually matter. So we were so excited, and so the first time we were going to the dining hall, we went with my roommate, and we were like talking up to her this ice cream and how exciting it was going to be that we were going to go to the dining hall and get ice cream. And then we get there, and this dining hall, we find out, doesn't have the soft serve frozen yogurt, but they normally have a crepe bar that has like scoops of ice cream. But
she said crepe, like the French dessert, not crate.
Yeah.
If you couldn't tell.
Thanks. So we walk in and swipe in, so we've already paid our swipes and we can't get them back, and then find out that they closed the crepe bar early that day and they didn't have ice cream. So we were very sad, but we were like, okay, next time. So then we make a plan to go to one of the other dining halls that's supposed to have the soft serve ice cream like a week later or whatever.
We cannot overstate how excited we were about this. I know it sounds stupid, but like, we were really homesick. I had a roommate who hated me. Like, it was just, this was like what we were looking forward to all week. Like, I just kept texting Aspen about how excited I was. And it wasn't even like the eating the ice cream. It was just like the fact that they had it, and like they were supposed to have like a toppings bar and ice cream cones, and I was just really excited about it.
So we are highly anticipating this. We walk into the dining hall, and we're walking around and looking for the ice cream machine, and it's nowhere to be found. And come to find out that because of COVID, they took out the ice cream machines, and they may or may not be back. Nobody knows.
Which is so dumb, because everything else in the dining hall was self-serve.
Yeah.
So there was no reason for them to get rid of the ice cream machines.
Like the drink stations and stuff, which kids would like fill up their personal water bottles that they had their spitty mouths all over. So the whole semester goes by, no ice cream.
For us.
Right. So then the next semester, I had gotten out of the hospital over winter break, so I was not coming back to school for a couple weeks after the semester started. So I'm at home, and I get a text from my roommate, and she's like, you'll never guess they have the ice cream machines at the dining halls. And I was like, no way. This is so exciting. Because, as I said, the swipes came out to be like $16 a swipe or whatever, and you weren't even allowed to take food out of the dining hall.
There was nothing that good in there.
Yeah, it was not worth that. But the ice cream, so you just felt like you were like really being cheated out of $700 a semester. So this ice cream was like really exciting. I get back to campus, and we're like, we have to schedule a time to go get ice cream. So we decided to go on like the Friday evening after my first week to like get ice cream and celebrate the end of the first week of classes. And Ashley was like skipping to the dining hall. She was so excited. So we walk in and we see the ice cream, and we're like, okay, we're gonna get our real food first because we just want to save the ice cream because that's like the main event. I know some people are like, oh, dessert before dinner is so fun, but I'm under the impression that you should save the best for last, because it's such a letdown if you eat ice cream first and then you have to eat the gross rice pilaf that's been sitting out for 10 hours and tastes like gook.
Okay, speed this up. This is like a 10-minute
Okay,
story.
sorry. Okay, we get our food, and then all of a sudden, they turn the ice cream machine off. And we, like...
No warning. Didn't say anywhere ice cream machine goes off at 6 p.m. or whatever.
It was just all of a sudden it was off. And so we run over and we're like, wait, what is happening? And they were like, oh, we closed the ice cream machines at 6 because they take too long to clean. And we were like, what? So we didn't get ice cream and we were so sad because that was like the whole point. So then we decide to go back a couple weeks later and we get there and the ice cream machines are off again. And we're like, what is going on? And they were like, oh, we were understaffed today, so we didn't have them on. So then we go back a third time and the ice cream machines are on, but they don't have cones.
No. This is what happened. So it was like the third time we had tried, and then they turned the machine. So we were planning that we were going to get the ice cream before 6 or whenever the time that they turned them off was. And then they started turning them off early, which was very disappointing. And so then we went over and asked if they were turning them off because it wasn't the time when they said they were turning them off, and they were like, oh yeah, sorry. So then we were really sad, but then this really nice staff person brought us like a little cup with some of the like leftover ice cream when they were cleaning it out. And so that made us happy.
Yeah, that was very, very nice of her. But
she probably thought we were kind of jerks because we were like sitting there complaining about the ice cream, but she didn't know all the trouble we had gone to get that ice cream.
Yeah. So we did get to taste the ice cream, but it still wasn't the same. It wasn't in a cone or anything, and we didn't get any toppings, which you can't have frozen yogurt without sprinkles. So it was probably a good month and a half of me being back on campus before we ever got ice cream, and then after that it was like 99% of, I mean, we probably only went to the dining hall like 20 times the entire semester.
Yeah, so it wasn't 99%.
But probably the ice cream machine was only on like 5 of the times we went.
But then we learned that you have to just ask them when you get there before you let them swipe your card if the ice cream machine is going to be on.
Yeah, so that's what we did this year. But it was just the stupidest thing. Like, we really felt like there was a vendetta against us getting ice cream because we just, every time we tried, couldn't get it. And it was terribly sad. And then there were like times, like there was a Yogurtland by campus one time in the midst of all this, and we went there and all of their machines were out of order, and so we were standing in line for like 15 minutes, and then it all melted, and then we just ended up leaving. And
then we were supposed to go to that Yogurtland after Aspen made her confirmation at our church last spring. So, like, all of the girls in our Bible study were coming to, like, celebrate, and we were going to go to that Yogurtland. And then all of a sudden, I walked past it the day before and found out that they had just closed, like, forever. Then they came back this semester, so who knows why, but that was pretty interesting. But speaking of things closing, this is another thing. I mean, it's not really just us. I feel like it happens to a lot of people, but we just have this luck that whenever we like something, it closes. Because, like, this frozen yogurt that they have at the dining halls is, like, this really good vanilla and chocolate frozen yogurt, and it's the same kind that they used to have at our most favoritist restaurant in the world, which was called Sweet Tomatoes, or if you're in California, it was called Soup Plantation. And it was like a healthier buffet restaurant, and they had like salad, and they had this really good frozen yogurt, and they had all sorts of other stuff. And this was like the best restaurant for our family to go to because our parents are kind of health nuts, so like they couldn't eat ice cream if we went to other restaurants. Like, we would never get dessert at restaurants, but because it was frozen yogurt, they could have it. So it was a really good place. And then during COVID, they shut down all of their locations, and the one that was closest to our house is still there. Like, no one has bought the
building.
Yeah, so we think they should reopen it. But so that closed, and then during COVID, our favorite TV show was Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist, or A Song in Your Head, as our family called it. And that was like our thing. Like, our family would just watch it every week. And then they canceled it, and what else? All the things that we liked when we were little, like all our favorite foods, they discontinued.
Yeah, every single one. Like, Yogos, Kellogg's, if you're listening, I put Yogos on my Christmas list every year hoping that Santa would bring me some because they stopped selling them. Never happened.
Those Special K granola bars, like the strawberry ones.
Yeah, there was all these cereals that we used to really like, it was some sort of chocolate Quaker cereal that was really good.
In elementary school, my best friend and I would always bring these, like, I can't even remember what they were, but they were some sort of, like, chocolate Nutri-Grain bar type thing, and we would bring them for a snack every day, and they stopped making those. And the cookies and cream Kellogg's, pastry crisps. Kellogg's really kind of sucks.
I know.
They just make things that people like and then discontinue them.
Actually, my mom said we need to stop saying that brands are bad because that's the opposite of what you're supposed to do on a podcast. I actually really love Kellogg's, but I wish that they would bring back all of those things that they stopped making.
What other brands did we say sucked?
Well, we were talking about how we're afraid of Walmart and then how McDonald's is gross.
Oh, yeah.
Lately, I feel like every time I find something that I like, they just all of a sudden stop making them.
Yeah, like it's always on closeout or clearance.
Yeah, which I think that maybe the problem is that I need to just stop buying stuff that's on clearance because I'm like, oh, I might as well try this. It's so cheap. And then I fall in love with it and then I can't find it anywhere.
Okay, you know what else we have bad luck with? I feel like this is our, like, main bad luck.
Yeah.
Is, like, being forgotten about. Or, like...
Yeah, we're like Sue on the Middle, if you've ever seen that.
Yeah, we're like the middle children of the universe. Like, I mean, I can't even remember all the things that have happened, but it's just, like, silly things like this will happen all the time. Like, all the time. Like, you would not believe, and that's what we call our summer's luck, is just, like the one time, so in our high school, they had multiple valedictorians. It's a whole thing. It was because you could take 6 or 7 classes, but if you took 7 classes, then it would, like, dilute your GPA, and so they had to have multiple valedictorians, because, like, we both took 7 classes every year, so we were working way harder than all the 6 classes valedictorians, but they had higher GPAs. Anyways, so we were both 2 of the, like, 8 or 7, however many valedictorians. So, well, first of all, we didn't even have a graduation because of COVID, and we were in the graduating class of 2020.
And I just have to say, we're not doing a very good job of remembering all of our summer's luck stories, but we just weren't, I mean, obviously we didn't expect a global pandemic, but, like, when that happened and it was our class that didn't get a senior year and didn't get a freshman year of college, like, we were only a little bit surprised because we were just like,
of course that would happen.
Like, it would just be crazy if that was any other class besides our year. And, like, we skipped a grade, so we shouldn't have even been in the class of 2020, but we were. And it was just like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. So we didn't have a normal graduation, but then they had, like, a sort of ish graduation thing in August. And so what normally happened at graduation was, like, all the valedictorians would, like, come up on stage and they would, like, give them medals and, like, talk about them, and, like, they would get to give speeches and stuff. But during our graduation, we didn't get to do any of that. But you got to wear your valedictorian medal, which was apparently supposed to be very exciting. Which, like, it could have been exciting, except that they forgot to bring our medals. They brought everyone else's, and they had, like, medals for the how do you say
salutatorian?
Yeah, and the distinguished scholars and all, which were, like, the levels below the valedictorians, and, like, all these other things that people could have. So it wasn't just, like, they brought the 5 medals for the other valedictorians. It was, like, they brought, like, 20 or 30.
We were all, when we got there to the graduation, like, practice that was, like, 2 hours before, everyone's medals were sitting on their chairs, and we were looking around, and there were no medals.
Yeah, and they were like, make sure, or they were like, valedictorians and salutatorians and distinguished scholars, make sure you wear your medals. And we were like, well, ours aren't here. And we were asking all of our friends who were one of those things, and they were like, yeah, we have our medals. And then they were walking around asking all of those people, like, making sure that whoever was reading their names knew how to pronounce them right, because you didn't get to go on stage and, like, do anything, but they would just, like, call out your name, and then you got to stand up. And they never came up to us, so we were like, well, they forgot about us, and we don't get to be valedictorians at our graduation, even though we were like number 1 in our class.
And that happens all the time. I'm trying to think of other times that that's happened, because we're always forgotten about.
Like, I mean, it's even just little things, like, we'll go to a restaurant and, like, order food. Like, this happens constantly. We'll, like, order, and then they will help, like, the 15 people behind us, and we'll just be, like, standing there waiting, and then we'll, like, finally ask, and they'll be like, oh, we forgot about you. Sometimes it seems like we're just, like, invisible. I think maybe because we're so short, people just don't see us.
Maybe. Well, you know what happened one time when we got forgotten about that was, like, really scary?
When you got left at Aunt Heather's house?
No.
Oh, okay, what?
When we were at the Boulder Creek Festival, this was like a carnival or whatever, and we were on this roller coaster.
Yeah.
It was one of those, like, fireball roller coasters that's just, like, the big circle, and it just goes in a loop upside down over and over again. We were like 8 or 9, and we were getting on the roller coaster, and we were sitting there, and they came by and checked everybody else's seatbelts, but they didn't check ours. And
mine was broken.
Yeah, Ashley's wouldn't close, and she was, like, freaking out and, like, trying to get their attention because she was gonna fall out.
And I was a big drama queen, and I hated roller coasters, so I didn't want to go on it. So it wasn't like I was just like, oh, excuse me, I need help. I was, like, screaming my head off.
And they just, like, didn't even notice her until, like, right before they were about to go. And then finally they came over.
No, they never came over.
No, they did.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did, because you would have died.
No, I got it. I finally got it to go in, but they never came over.
Okay, well, you still didn't die, so...
I didn't, but I was pretty close.
It was really scary,
And then I didn't go on upside-down roller coasters until, like...
Ever?
This December, when we were in Disney World.
Oh, I guess you did.
We also have this curse where, you know how when you go to do things, most of the time, it just works out. Like, you go to pick up something from the pharmacy, and usually it's just there. Unless you are a Summers, without fail, every time you go to the pharmacy or anything else in a similar vein, I go to the pharmacy a lot because I have a lot of prescriptions. And every single time I go, oh, we don't have that in stock, so you're going to have to come back. Oh, we don't have that prescription. You're going to have to call your doctor. Oh, your insurance actually doesn't cover this anymore, even though it did last month. So you're gonna have to get a different prescription. Oh, we sent this prescription to the other pharmacy. Do you want us to transfer it here? Okay, it'll be a couple more days till we get it. I waste so much time going to the stupid pharmacy. I probably go there like every other day. And never once have I been there and they've just had the thing that I needed the first time I went there.
Yeah, things like that just don't ever work for us. Like, it's not just us, it happens to our mom too, but anytime we try to do something that should be so simple, it's just so complicated. Like, over Christmas break, we needed vanilla extract, and we went to like 5 stores, or maybe it was molasses, I can't remember. But
one of those
it was something really simple. And we went to like 5 stores, and of course they were out at every single store. But also, it's kind of funny that we feel like we have this Summer's curse because we're trying to be actors, and you kind of need good luck for that. But
that's the thing. We don't have good luck.
I know, that's what I'm saying, is even in acting things, we tend to have really stupid luck. Like, there was this one audition that Ashley had. This was a long time ago, but it was for this play, and she was auditioning to play Young Elizabeth, which, if you haven't listened to, or Young Queen Elizabeth. Yeah, sorry. If you haven't listened to our last episode about weird things we used to believe when we were little, she thinks that she was the long-lost princess of England. So this was like the perfect role for her.
It was like, I loved this play. I really, really wanted this role.
And she got a call back, but they didn't send an email, they just called my mom, and somehow my mom didn't get the message until a couple hours after the callback happened, so she missed it and didn't get to go.
Well, they did send an email. They called to tell us that they sent an email and we didn't respond, but I think they must have put in our email wrong because we didn't get an email. Like, it wasn't even in our spam or anything. I'm still a little bitter about that. Like, I really wanted that part.
I know, you would have been perfect.
But, like, that happens a lot. Or, like, I would say probably, like, 50% of the acting jobs that I book, I end up not being able to do because they cancel it, or they all of a sudden decide to cast someone else, or they change the date and then I'm not available.
Yeah, we always have scheduling problems. Like, always. We'll get really exciting opportunities and then all of a sudden something changes and then it's like, oh, you can't do it. Like, I think the very first film that I ever booked, I went to set and the other girl who was supposed to be playing my sister didn't show up. So
I remember that.
Yeah, so they had to cancel it. And then they were like, I was like, well, I have a sister. And they were like, oh, well, she can play your sister then. And so we were like, this is working out phenomenally. And then they rescheduled the shooting day for a day that we had, like, the SAT. I think the SAT. So there was no way that we could do it. And we were like, is there any way you can reschedule? And they just didn't respond. And we saw the casting call got reposted for new siblings, which was so disappointing. Okay, that must have not been the first film that I booked because we took the SAT.
I don't think it was.
Okay, but still, it was a role that I was really excited about, and I didn't get to do it. I was going to say, speaking of the SAT, when I took the ACT, if you have, like, a digital watch or something, you can get kicked out and, like, accused of cheating. And I was so nervous about this because I really wanted to have a watch so that I could keep track of the time, but I was so worried about my watch going off or something and then getting sent out, because even if I don't know, like, why if you had a watch that had, like, an alarm on it and it went off, you would get sent out and not be able to finish it. So my dad gave me his watch to borrow that was, like, a standard, like, clock watch, not a digital one, but it did have an alarm, but he swore that the alarm wasn't going to go off. It had never been set and, like, all this stuff. So I'm sitting there taking the math section, and all of a sudden a watch alarm starts going off. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I didn't think it was mine, but it was coming from really nearby, and I had never worn this watch before, so I didn't know what the alarm sounded like, and the proctor thought that it was my watch, and so they, like, took my watch from me, and they were, like, scolding me, but they were like, I'm not gonna kick you out, but if I find you doing something else, you're gonna be disqualified, or not disqualified, but you know what I mean. So I'm, like, freaking out because that was so stressful, and that was, like, the one thing I was so afraid of happening. And then, like, 30 minutes later, the watch starts going off again. Turns out it was the kid behind me, but, like, just my luck that it would seem like it was mine and then cause me so much stress, and then I would be all flustered and not be able to answer the math questions.
But you still got a 35.
Yeah, and then I still didn't get into Yale, so...
Okay, we're gonna need to wrap this up because that was really long and I need to go.
I'm sorry.
If you want to help us reverse our bad luck, you can subscribe to our podcast because that would be happy. And thank you for listening.
Join us next week for a really exciting interview with some really special guests.
Bye.
Bye.